Well, this is just too good not to cover. Hallmars reposting a screenshot from a Gary Black classic with a laughing, crying emoji in which Gary said, "You are missing that Tesla can't just create a network of 24 million active riders. Assuming Tesla can get autonomous ride-hailing deployment licenses in every state." Ready for this? Are you ready? Make sure you're sitting down and don't have any beverages in your mouth unless you want to spray paint them all over your screen or device. It still must compete with Uber and Lyft, who will offer much cheaper driverless options themselves. Fuck me. Oh. All right, compose yourself, Stephen. Shit. With three players all fighting for riders, Tesla may not make money on ride-hailing for years. So I'm just going to reiterate this. Gary Black believes that even if Tesla is able to scale their autonomous Robotaxi service, Uber and Lyft, who, by the way, don't themselves actually manufacture vehicles, but hey, put that aside, will, regardless, somehow still offer much, not just a little, much cheaper driverless options themselves. So I just need to pass this, just mentally, just try to understand exactly what I've just heard. Today, Tesla sells vehicles to consumers starting around $40,000 US, makes a profit doing so, one of the only companies on the planet making any profit at all selling electric vehicles. And every one of those vehicles is equipped with the necessary hardware and sensors, the optical cameras, the FSD computer, everything necessary to operate autonomously. And again, Uber doesn't make any vehicles capable of operating autonomously, nor does Lyft. But of course, there are third parties like Waymo who produce autonomous vehicles. Oh, wait, no, Waymo doesn't make autonomous vehicles either, do they? No, they pay other companies to produce vehicles, cover them in sensors, and their cost, e.g. Uber, to put a, quote, driverless vehicle on roads, $100,000+ US. I mean, call me crazy, but Tesla are a company with not far off, call it almost 2 decades now of experience manufacturing electric vehicles, outside of a few exceptions in China. Today, every company trying to sell electric vehicles to consumers in the same marketplace as Tesla, also known as Earth, are having to sustain multi-$10,000 losses per vehicle just to compete on purchase price, implying that Tesla has a massive cost advantage to actually put the physical hardware on roads. And few of these companies are putting hardware on roads that are even capable of any form of autonomy, maybe if you're lucky, some kind of advanced driver assist. So if they had to stick sensors on those, they'd be losing even more money. And the few companies that we do know are operating robotaxi services in a few tiny pockets of a few little corners of the United States and elsewhere, their hardware cost, but essentially an equivalent vehicle on roads with equivalent capabilities, is many times higher than that of Tesla. How in the flying fuck can we draw the conclusion that companies that aren't the one that can put the equivalent vehicle on roads for a fraction the cost of everyone else will be able to offer much cheaper driverless rides? The biggest cost associated with a driverless vehicle, wait for it, ready for it, is the vehicle. If it had a driver, it'd be the driver, but no driver, now it's the vehicle. I just don't understand how Gary has reasoned through this. I actually don't. I'm trying to understand. The only possible argument I could come up with would be that a company like Waymo, who, let's say, costs them $100,000+ to put a vehicle on roads, would then put their $100,000 vehicle on the Uber platform and then charge customers a much lower cost per mile than Tesla and lose astonishing amounts of money at scale, creating an unsustainable business model that could only continue as long as they can keep sucking from the teat of their sugar daddy, known as the parent company Alphabet, aka Google. This has to be an all-timer from Gary, who I respect and appreciate, although he's extremely embarrassingly wrong about a few things, in my totally humble opinion. This is one of them. Bro, what the fuck? This is the head scratcher of head scratchers. And I'm not trolling. Like, I'm trying to understand how the fuck Gary comes up with this. I'm sure Gary can let me know. Send me a DM, brother. Oh, God, dude. Can somebody explain what the fuck he's thinking? How? Elon Musk responded to this. Wow. He really doesn't get it. And I think that's a pretty accurate assessment. Now, not to be unreasonable, Gary's doing his best to try to understand this stuff. Gary's a smart guy. He has an MBA from Harvard Business School. And you'd have to be pretty smart. The Future Fund current holdings. Let's see here. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Still going. Currently holding, where are we? Almost 90 different assets, not including cash. Now, I have a very small brain, so I'm happy to openly admit that I would have a very difficult time deeply understanding even 9 companies, let alone 90. So I don't know how they do it. I certainly couldn't. By the way, let me know in the comments below if anyone watching owns more Tesla stock than is held in the Future Fund ETF. They currently have 3,201 shares of Tesla. a 1.37% weighting. Another recent post from Gary discussing this. It's always useful to get an insight into how many folks who wear suits and or manage money think about Tesla, autonomy, and the rideshare market. Gary wrote, "The technology, unsupervised autonomy, will be achieved by a handful of manufacturers. Only Uber has the platform and infrastructure to scale it." Call me crazy. I mean, it's true. But does this mean that Gary's suggesting that Tesla either A, won't be able to scale, or B, will have to come crawling to Uber to join the Uber platform to scale their Robotaxi fleet? That's the impression that I get here. Seems to be the logical conclusion of Gary's statement. Only Uber has the platform and infrastructure to scale it, as in autonomy. Now, I understand the point. Today, Uber has a platform that allows a lot of people to ride hail. Great service, by the way. I'm a regular user for now. Now, as somebody with a verified IQ of 69 and a proud member of Densa, some things are just beyond my ability to understand. So maybe this is one of those cases, but I'm under the impression, perhaps wrongly, that the solving of autonomy itself, a generalized form of autonomy without reliance on pre-mapping in high definition, LiDAR and a bunch of other BS, legitimate, straight up real world intelligence, the solving of vision via AI involving seeing, perceiving, planning and acting in the real world, photons in, movements out. I'm under the impression that this is a vastly more challenging technological feat. And I'm talking orders of magnitude harder than building the infrastructure for a ride-hailing platform. But of course, like I said, my IQ is 69, so what would I know? By the way, the haters will say I'm exaggerating. I'm not here to demean what Uber have done building their platform, but my small brain and I are of the strong opinion that building the platform for Tesla Robotaxis, as opposed to actually solving the real-world AI required to operate them, will be child's play in comparison to the AI component. I do want to add a few other things. First of all, scale. Tesla today already has over 7 million vehicles on roads. Essentially all of them, either now or soon, will be able to operate autonomously and join this network. Not all will, but they will have the option. So they already have enormous global scale, a fleet of vehicles on roads that in the future can supplement, e.g. operate very part-time or during peak hours or even off-peak hours, Tesla's ride-hail network. And I guess it's possible that these millions of existing Tesla owners might have, I don't know, like maybe a Tesla app. And so, bam, suddenly, boom, now your app has a feature for the Robotaxi service. We also know that Tesla collects a fair amount of data relating to their products. And obviously, they're quite capable and competent when it comes to software. Now, there's one other thing I'd like to add, and that is incentives. And here's what I mean. If you happen to be a Tesla owner, and then you get a text message or a notification on your smartphone at 4:20 p.m. one afternoon saying, "Hey, what's up, motherfucker? Guess what? Your car can now make you money while you're asleep. You live in Austin, right?" "Yes, of course you do. We already know that." "Well, would you like your vehicle to make you some money while you're at work? While you're sleeping over in a hotel with your mistress? While you're on a vacation in Miami? Would you like your Tesla vehicle to make you money while you sleep?" You would? Great. Press a button, add it to the fleet, bam, money printer on wheels. This may sound trivial, but it's not. A few months ago, in a previous video, I estimated that for every roughly 1 million people you have in a city, to own 100% of the ride-hail market, e.g. you could own everything with Robotaxi. Take the entire share away from taxis, Ubers, Lyfts, all forms of ride-hail. Per million people, in terms of population, low end you need roughly 10,000 Robotaxis, the higher end closer to 15. Even if you add a massive buffer there, less than 20,000 vehicles and you own the whole fucking market per million people. These are very small numbers relative to Tesla's existing scale. And the way they're likely to roll out their platform of Robotaxis, start small, iron out any bugs, saturate one market, scale, move to the next city, rinse, recycle, repeat. The scaling of this service is not the gargantuan mammoth task it's being made out to be. They already have sufficient scale to systematically roll out Robotaxis city after city after city. Next year, they'll be cranking out Cybercabs. By 27, those will be flying off production lines. And Tesla can just line up city after city after city, crank out a month of production for Cybercabs to this destination, then to this city, then to this, then to this, then to this. And it's important to understand. The United States, for those of you who don't live there, has a very evenly distributed population through a fuckload of cities. It's quite baffling. Some people might not realize this. The biggest city in the US by far is New York. Roughly 8 million people live there. The second largest, Los Angeles, is not even 4 million people. Some of my Aussie viewers might be scratching their heads going, "What? Huh? Are you telling me that Australia has a handful of cities that are larger in terms of population than the second largest city in the US?" Yes, kind of weird. Chicago, little over 2.5 million people. Then Houston, a little over 2. Phoenix, just over 1.5 million. Similar numbers for Philadelphia, San Antonio, San Diego's 1.3, 1.4 million. Dallas, around 1.3. That's the 10th largest city in the US. Then Austin, little under 1 million. This is the way to think about this. Tesla will strategically saturate market after market after market, rolling this service out. And the number of vehicles they actually need operating in each of these cities is far less than most people realize. And Tesla doesn't need to pay another company to make vehicles. As I said, there's already millions of Teslas on roads that could supplement demand by joining the fleet part-time, temporarily, on a weekend, during peak, off-peak, whatever. And they'll also be building dedicated cybercabs as well. This is a great strategy. Make no mistake, assuming regulatory approval, Tesla will strategically dominate, own, win, market after market after market. They'll have a hit list of cities that they want to absolutely crush with autonomy. Everyone watching has heard of Miami, right? You know how many vehicles Tesla would need to have literally 100% share of ride-hail there? Anyone want to take a guess? 5, 6, maybe 7,000. That's it. Not for a portion of the market, the whole fucking market. Tesla's global rate of production today is around 1.8 million vehicles. Brother, that's still 5,000 vehicles per day being produced. In short, I strongly disagree with Gary's assertion that only Uber has the platform and infrastructure to scale unsupervised autonomy. This is not the gargantuan task it's being made out to be. I think Tesla and their big-brained engineers probably have the capability to target a city, deploy a few thousand total vehicles, and remember, I was talking previously about owning the whole market. They're not going to get 100% share, at least not immediately. So we're talking about fractions of those numbers I mentioned. Get a big slice of the market, get to the point where wait times are reasonable, and then drive costs down, own that market, scale your fleet of just a few thousand Tesla Robotaxis, which, by the way, includes existing Tesla vehicles operating as well as in the future dedicated cybercabs, and then rinse, recycle, repeat in a different city. I mean, this ain't Mount Everest, bruh. Mount Everest was solving autonomy. So we've covered the hardware cost, and the short story here is Tesla today can already put a vehicle on roads that in the future can operate autonomously for a fraction the cost of the supposed leader in the industry, Waymo. If that's the only thing you knew, I mean, I think you can, even a preschooler could probably figure out how this one ends. But the AI, the software, is the real point of distinction. I've said it a million times, and sorry for the new folks, I'm not going to explain it in too much detail. But the short story is Tesla has developed a generalized form of autonomy. They've taught their vehicles to drive, period. As opposed to training their vehicles to quote-unquote drive only after having pre-mapped the entire fraction of a city they'll be operating in, bouncing lasers off everything, covering the vehicle in more lasers to make sure that nothing's moved, and as long as nothing changes, no problem. But as I said in the past, you could train a blind person to walk through a hedge maze with enough repetitions, if they're familiar enough with the environment, 5 paces this way, then turn right, 90 degrees, then da-da-da, right? This is essentially what Waymo and others are doing. Tesla, different story. I've been saying this for years, but we've seen recent examples. Tesla's FSD in China rolled out almost instantaneously without having to train locally on data for years because Tesla vehicles knew how to drive, period. And as I've been saying for literally years, this means that in theory, you can pick up a Tesla vehicle, drop it anywhere on Earth, and it will know how to drive, period, because it knows how to drive, period. Not it knows how to operate in this pre-mapped little area. These are very different things. On the outside, if you suffer from small brain syndrome or you haven't spent a lot of time to understand what's actually going on, you might mistakenly get the impression that what Tesla's doing is identical to what Waymo's doing and vice versa. The end result on the outside may look similar, but how it's being achieved is dramatically different and it really matters. An analogy might help. Until quite recently, most people, especially automotive analysts, looked at an electric vehicle produced by Tesla, looked at an internal combustion engine vehicle produced by name your automotive manufacturer and thought, oh, they got doors and wheels. It's the same thing, but completely different technology inside. One's a computer on wheels, one is a century plus old technology. And while we're on the subject of AI, this is quite remarkable stuff. I think what's happening is because Tesla makes products that have wheels and windows and doors and windscreen wipers, most people assume, oh, they're just a car company and completely ignore what they're doing with AI. This will go down as one of the biggest regrets many investors have in the future. Check this out. XAI, remember, Elon Musk started this company very recently. XAI has reached a full operational capability of phase 1 of its Colossus supercomputer GPU cluster. Quote, XAI was connected to a newly constructed electric substation from which it is now receiving 150 megawatts of grid power. Additionally, 150 megawatts of Tesla Mega Pack batteries for stored energy backup have been integrated into the operation to help the system ride through outages or demand response events during times of peak grid demand. This is the fuck-off gigantic supercluster that went up in record time Jensen Huang from NVIDIA says literally no one else on the planet could have done this, bar Elon and his team. So I'll spell it out. I'll join the dots for you. An example of a Musk-led effort doing a very difficult thing and scaling, well, there's that word, scaling a very complicated thing faster than anyone else could have in world record time. And also, by the way, prior to this, the industry thought it was impossible to coherently scale more than about 20,000 of these GPUs. Yet XAI figured out how to do 100,000 plus. It's now on its way to 200,000. But wait, there's more. This is a classic from Alex over on X. Elon raising money for XAI at a $120 billion valuation. Unreal. Elon buys X 2 years ago, formerly known as Twitter, for $44 billion. Then immediately turns around, takes the data, and starts an AI company that's now worth 3 times that. If this isn't business genius, then I don't know what is. So I've got lots to say on this. First of all, there certainly was a lot of unnoticed value in the Twitter/X data stream, which XAI has absolutely been able to tap into and create an enormous amount of value. It's real world, it's real time, it's text, it's images, and it's video. The X data stream itself, an incredibly valuable asset, without which XAI likely wouldn't have been able to scale even close to as quickly, nor produce such compelling and capable AI, including the latest version of Grok. I'm going somewhere with this. Another currently unnoticed, unrecognized, unrealized, invaluable, proprietary, exclusive data stream. Are you ready? Tesla's vehicle fleet, collecting data 24/7, 7+ million vehicles on roads, sponging data on roads all over the fucking planet. It really stuns me that people don't understand the similarities between what's happening here. Maybe Tesla should rename themselves to AI, the artist formerly known as Tesla. Maybe then investors will get it. A couple of years ago, XAI didn't exist. The company now, we're looking at roughly a $120 billion valuation. How did this happen? Elon Musk leading a team of big fucking brains on an AI project with an exclusive, proprietary, extremely valuable fire hydrant of data, the X data stream. Next minute, they've caught up with and then overtaken the industry leaders in AI. Meanwhile, Tesla, last decade or so, been collecting data on the way to solving autonomy, but Tesla's just a car company. Tesla's real-world data stream has given Tesla what some guy with 3 first names once or twice or 10 trillion times has described as an unassailable data lead when it comes to generalized autonomy. What's happened with XAI from not existing a few years ago to becoming an industry leader is a super valuable data point. Anyone with 3 brain cells, so I guess Tesla short sellers are excluded, surely can see this and go, hang on, exclusive data stream, Musk-led company, big brain, bam, holy shit, look what they did, look how fast they did it, they took over the whole industry, how'd that happen, they were late to the... Surely can then go, hang on, wait, does that mean that maybe a Musk-led company, e.g. Tesla, with a bunch of big brains, e.g. Tesla's employees and the AI team who've been collecting data in the real world for a decade, may have given themselves a massive lead as well? You've got to be able to join the dots here, folks. This is such a gift to investors to have seen what's happened with XAI, a parallel example of a proprietary data stream and a Musk-led AI effort, their ability to make progress and create value. Now look, I just want to wrap up by saying this. As I said, my IQ is verified at 69. Not very smart. But even so, even with my extremely small brain, if you were to ask me, Stephen, who's your money on? The guy who proudly claims that Uber and Lyft will offer much cheaper driverless options than Tesla will, or the guy who's led both Tesla and XAI, who in response to that claim says, wow, he really doesn't get it. Call me crazy, but I think Elon Musk might have a point. I think Gary Black really just doesn't get it. But remember, I'm a deluded Tesla fanboy, so you can't take anything I say seriously. Want more content? Early access? A bunch of perks? Click the links in the pinned comment. AG1 is awesome. I've been taking it daily now for more than 3 years. It's a great way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's packed full of vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients, plus has prebiotics, probiotics, and adaptogens to improve gut health, regularity, and help your body handle stress. I'm always looking for an edge to help me feel and perform my best, which is why I haven't missed a day of AG1 for more than 3 years. Just try it and see how you feel. Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR and get yourself a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs.